you. I've never.
I was in the
heard
room
before.
that day.
You were?
Yes.
Well, what was
People
everyone's
were
reaction?
just like,
Nothing?
Holy cow.
I mean, did people
This is
laugh?
the richest guy in the room. He's
they
the one
laugh
with all
at
the
him?
money. Yeah, people are laughing at him. Absolutely.
So odd.
So stupid. Man, it felt like Les was on the sideline Saturday.
We're back.
Jesus,
God.
what did we see over the weekend? We'll talk all about it coming up here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We appreciate you being here and starting your week here with us. The Carpool Queen is back from the Big Apple.
Back from New York.
Yes, New York
Had a
City.
great time.
What a beautiful time
Hard
to
to
be
come
there.
back to Baton Rouge.
Lloyd is here on this Monday morning. Hit that like button, share button, comment
about
button.
the kickoff.
Brought to you by Go Chevrolet, GEAUX, Chevrolet.com. Remember, online you can find all the inventory there. Used car lot over here in Baton Rouge at Go Express Auto Sales, and brand new cars over in Laplace, Louisiana at Go Chevrolet. Daily Metropolitan Health Group, Real Doctors, Real Solutions, bring you our phone line, and we will talk to Jake Crain just like we do every Monday. Crain will be here at 8 a.m. this morning. Then we'll have early editions of Caskey's Clicker, the teaser. He'll be here on this Monday morning. He was fired up and ready to go after watching all the games on Saturday and yesterday. He'll have a breakdown of Tennessee LSU. He'll have some breakdown of the Saints and the Seahawks yesterday. Geno Smith, Jesus, man. Who is this guy?
Best quarterback in the league.
Geno Smith
MVP
just
votes.
dropping dimes over the Saints DB's head. But too much Taysom Hill as the Saints get out of there 39-32 and a much-needed win for New Orleans to get to 2-3 on the season. We'll talk a little bit about that, but we'll focus obviously here on LSU and Tennessee over the weekend, and that was tough to watch. If you were in the stadium, I was in the stadium on Saturday. A heck of an environment, a great game day environment. Look, everybody was looking for not an excuse, but the 11 a.m. game. I think everybody was a little annoyed by, and it didn't stop everybody from showing up. And I didn't think it would. I don't think a lot of people felt like that last week, no matter if it was going to be at 11, 6:30, 2:30, whatever time they were going to kick that off. I thought that they were going to have a lot of interest, a lot of attendance, a lot of people that were going to be there, and sure enough, there it was. First and foremost, man, the Tennessee fans traveled. They came on Friday night. We went and ate at Doe's Eat Place, and Doe's is a pretty local joint.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
They were there?
Very local
Yeah.
to Baton Rouge, and we had 7:45 reservations on Friday night at Doe's. And when we walked in there, I guarantee you it was 50-50 Tennessee.
No way.
And as we were like into the meal, like they were singing Rocky Top in the restaurant.
Oh
Like,
my God.
it
Why?
felt like, because they're confident. They got a good team. And they weren't starting anything.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't obnoxious. It wasn't, it wasn't as if they were pissing anybody off. I mean, if you know the atmosphere of Doe's, it's a very loud,
Yeah.
people are talking, a lot of people laughing, people moving around. A group of Tennessee fans singing Rocky Top wasn't as if people were staring and pointing. I mean, it just kind of pointed out like they're here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They were
Like
ready.
they have shown up, and then you show up to the stadium on Saturday, and it was there was a ton of orange and white.
Yeah, there was.
there
Look, I could see it
a
from
lot of
watching it on
orange and
TV.
white there. Destination trip. I mean,
Yeah.
LSU, you go spend a couple of days in New Orleans, come to Baton Rouge, you see Tiger Stadium, and first, and like we said, they're good.
Their uniforms were good,
I mean,
too.
they
Damn.
are. They got a good team, but I think if you stack up LSU side by side with Tennessee, I still think LSU's roster is probably a little bit better.
Yeah.
The determining factor, like we talked about last week, was the quarterback, and it's not so much that Hendon Hooker was great, which he was, and we expected him to be. It was just that LSU. And not solely Jaden Daniels' fault, but the combination of the game plan, the play calling, and just the uncertainty of the quarterback position. I thought Jaden Daniels did some good things on Saturday. I thought he looked a lot like Jaden Daniels, which, it's probably unfair to judge him any other way than that. And we'll talk all about it. But first and foremost, at Doe's on Friday night, while I'm at Doe's, I get a text message while sitting there from, somebody within the program saying that there are ambulances, 4 deep outside of Tiger Stadium, and they're there to get Will Campbell.
What in the world?
And when I read that, I mean, I thought, what is going on? And then the more that I talked to people that were there, and look, Brian Kelly told us early on in his tenure here that he loves going to the stadium on Friday night, and he loves going through not necessarily a walkthrough. It's almost kind of like they get after it on Friday night. I mean, it's not one-on-ones. There's no pads, but I mean, they're going through it. You know,
really?
I mean,
That's
yeah.
cool.
I mean, I think he's done that. That's what he said that he's done for a long time during his coaching career. They'll do that on the road. They'll do that. In fact, the first time that he was telling us about it was the trip to the Dome. You know, they went into the Dome on Saturday night and was able to, just kind of go through there and go through the walkthrough. They're going through that on Friday night in Tiger Stadium. And it sounds like Campbell had a seizure.
How scary.
And if you've heard some of the players that have talked about it, I know Josh Williams came out and said, I mean, point blank, he was traumatized. You know, I mean, just the sight
I bet.
of this enormous human being, having this episode and having to be, stretchered out of the field that you're going to play a game on less than, 12 hours from that time, started the weekend off for LSU in a pretty wacky headspace.
Have you heard, has he had seizures before? Like, does he have something underlying, or is this like a new occurrence for him?
I don't know that. I can't speak on the history of it, but I do know that there are tons of tests that are being run, and that first and foremost, sure, right when I read it, I thought about the implications of the game, but the more you learned about it, the more that you're concerned with just the person, right? Like, I mean, before Will Campbell can get back onto the field and before he can, think about suiting up in an SEC game, he's got to make sure his health is completely cleared by the medical team. And until that happens, LSU is going to be, without him. I think that there are a lot of positive signs since Friday night.
Is he still in the hospital?
I don't know that for sure right now. I know that he stayed into the hospital.
Yeah.
He stayed in the hospital through the weekend, but I don't know what the status is right now as we speak. But either way, very concerning, right? So that the human element of that, let's throw that into the mix when we're talking about just evaluating and analyzing the weekend for LSU. That had a huge impact on the team Friday night, right? I mean, the mental part of how they went to bed on Friday night, how they went to sleep, if they did go to sleep, just with a game at 11 o'clock the next morning, and your energy and being all amped up is got to be, a part of just looking at the week. Did it cost them the weekend? Absolutely not. But that had to be a part of it when showing up to the stadium on Saturday morning. So now your offensive line, right, is a little in flux. You move Anthony Bradford out to start there, and within the first half of the game, you lose Garrett Dellinger. He's down. He's done. And looks like the prognosis on Dellinger is he's going to miss some extended time. And now, maybe two of your best offensive linemen, not maybe, they are two of your best offensive linemen are out. They're not even in the game. They're not dressed anymore. So you're having to shuffle around the offensive line that just they couldn't keep up on Saturday, right? It was just it was tough with what they were dealing with to be able to be stable. So that part of it, I just want to make sure that we talk about that human element of Campbell, of Friday night, leaving the facility, going to the hotel, trying to get some rest, going to Tiger Stadium on Saturday morning for game day, all knowing that this has happened, just a short time before you were set to play the game, had to have an impact. Now the game kicks off, right? And once the game kicks off, we can talk about it. It's incredible how bad LSU special teams are. I mean, it is not funny anymore.
Not, but it's
you know what I mean? Because it is amazing that part of the game continues to haunt LSU in the rate that it does.
Yeah,
I mean, it's every Saturday. It's every Saturday.
It's not if, it's when.
That it's costing you.
And it's immediate.
It's well, yeah. I mean,
It was immediate.
And now, not only is it immediate, it's more than one. It's multiple times.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the punt that Bramblett kicks on Saturday, I heard Brian Kelly say that, you know, we outkicked our coverage. It's like, maybe, but when you look at the coverage unit, again, you know, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago against Mississippi State when Emory Jones is making an open field tackle, is that they're all clumped together. Like, look, man, there's a lot of people in that building that have forgotten more special teams than I will ever know. But it doesn't look like it's the special teams coach, because the stuff that is happening to LSU in that part of the game is so elementary. Like, it is so basic. You know what I mean? Like the field goal being blocked at the beginning of the season because they're letting somebody come on the inside of them. If you look at these punt returns, the way that they're getting busted, if you get just the aerial view of it, everybody's standing around one another. You know what I mean? Like, I've been taught since special teams, since you were in grade school, that everybody cover a lane. You know, everybody has a lane, and do not get out of your lane. And for whatever reason, LSU's just all clumped up together, and then they don't tackle. They miss wide open field tackles in special teams that cost them again and again. And look, man, we'll get to the on the field stuff, but the coaching cost LSU on Saturday. I know that score is very indicative to a team that looks further better than LSU. But if you watch that game, LSU overthought that thing from the sideline, from the jump. I mean, the scene of Polian and Kelly on the sideline telling Besh and
Clayton to
switch.
switch before the game, it's like, fellas, just chill. Just walk Clayton up and tell him to catch the ball if that's what you want. I mean, it's like so much overthinking of what I would venture to wonder from just watching is how much the players looked at the coaching staff on Saturday and said, hey, guys, how much do you believe in us? How much do you have our back? Because that first and last fourth down call of the first half was Madden type stuff. That was Jordan and me, my 11-year-old, playing Madden against one another, saying, it's 4th and 10 before halftime. I got the ball in my own territory, and I'm going for it. It's like, say what? Like, what are you doing? The first one, 10-0, you got a chance to slow momentum for them, get points for you, and give yourself a chance to kind of find your footing and get back in the game, because the part of watching the game and you know, kind of peeling back and watching it for the first 24 minutes is that you were rarely out of it. For as bad as you played, you still, up until the 1 minute mark of the first half, still had a chance to make it relevant in the second half. If they get 3 there at the end of the half, if Jeray Jenkins catches that slant route going into the end zone, that game is a totally different game coming out into the second half. You go for it on 4th down. Tennessee gets the points that they missed 90 seconds before that, gave you a gift, giving you the ball back before half. You get a good play to get it into your territory. Then you run 3 negative plays and push yourself out of not only field goal range, but give them the ball back with an opportunity to get more points going into half, knowing that they get the ball coming out. It was like, who the hell's on the sideline making this decision? Is it Les? I mean, it felt like watching Les Miles football of not only those decisions, but I had to temper myself in the game once I saw that Harold Perkins was dressed out on the field, standing on the sideline. I mean, I had to almost kind of walk out of the seating area where I was. I was up in the stadium club and just kind of walk by myself with my head down, kind of cussing to the floor, like, what in the mother bleep are they thinking sitting number 40? How does a scenario exist for LSU football at this point of watching all the data that you have, that you can look at any team that you are scheming for and not have Harold Perkins in the defensive game plan. I'm telling you, for as good as Matt House has been, and Matt House has been extraordinary up to this point, he has been the reason why you've been in every game, his game planning. Whoever that falls on Saturday, that has to be, I mean, that is inexplicable. At this point, for Harold Perkins to be off the field is the story. He should be on the field every single play. And I would extend that to special teams. If your special teams is that bad and you can't tackle in the open field like they were struggling to do on Saturday, then you need to put your best players out there. And he, without question, at this point, is not only one of your best players. I would say that he's probably one of your top 3 players on your team. I would say B.J. Ojulari is probably your best player, all in all. When you look at LSU, I still believe in Kayshawn. I know that, look, I get it, and I'll hear you, but Kayshawn's going to be a high-round draft pick. He's going to be because of his talent. And after that, I would put Harold Perkins right there. I really, if you go back early on in that game, Kayshawn's running by himself one-on-one on a slant on the second drive of the game. If Jaden Daniels just lets the ball go, it's a 75-yard touchdown. The place goes ballistic, and it's a totally different game. For whatever reason, he looks at him, sees him one-on-one, thinks about it, puts it back in his pocket, and runs and gets 4 yards. That's the stuff that, look, that's not on the coaching. I get it. And another episode when the TV cameras find Brian Kelly looking at Jaden Daniels early in that game and again saying, what the bleep? What are you looking at? We've got one-on-one. What else do you want? There's no other scenario that you can draw up in football that's going to give you better opportunities than what LSU had at certain times on Saturday, and the quarterback is still reserved on pulling the trigger. We talked about it last week. You were asking a quarterback to completely change his personality in 7 days. It was like asking a post player to become a three-point shooter. Like asking a three-point shooter to become a post player. I just can't do that. So for us to ask Jaden Daniels or expect Jaden Daniels to be making those throws at this point, really, it's on us. If you're let down by what you're watching the quarterback do, if you're let down by seeing the quarterback miss open guys and continue not to pull the trigger when he's got one-on-ones, that's just who he is. That's who he is. And if they don't believe in Nussmeier enough to go to him, then this is what the offense is going to look like moving forward. I've been telling you that I've been hearing since week 3, week 2 of the season that Walker Howard's the best quarterback on this team right now. Right now. But they want to make sure and groom him and make sure that they take care of him and not ruin his development and play him too early. And there's consultation of that going on, but it's obvious because if Nussmeier can't play over the indecision of what we saw on Saturday, then it's close between mediocre, really. And I'm not trying to rain on college players, but at this point we're evaluating what we're seeing, and the difference, like we said last week, in this game was going to be the quarterback. And it's not for as great as Hendon Hooker was, and Hooker's great. I think that he's a high round. I think he's a first-round pick. He's 24 years old. He like we said, he can run it. He can throw it. He's a good decision maker. That pass before halftime that he threw in the corner over Converse was a big-time throw that he dropped in there. He threw balls into the windows all day. I think he's a pro, and I think that's the difference between Tennessee and a team like LSU. Where LSU's going to have more drafted players than Tennessee is this year. Book it. But comes down to one position. They're superior at quarterback, and LSU is mediocre. And when you have a mediocre quarterback around high talent, how many times have we seen it? We led the show off with that dumbass talking about Columbus Day, Les Miles. That was the personality of his teams. Where you got draft picks littered everywhere, but they can't figure it out under center. And it's just, I don't want to get too worked up because this is going to take a lot of time to fix, right? I think that, LSU wasn't championship level ready once Kelly took the job. Once the keys were turned over to him, it wasn't a championship level program at this point that he was taking over. But the things that you are hoping to see are things that are improving and at least coaching decisions that give you the best chance to win. And I thought Saturday, LSU's coaching staff way overthought it. And whatever's going on at special teams this is high school stuff. This is, we got to coach it better. Cool. We get you. That's a lot of Ogeron talk.
That's what I was about to say.
You know what I mean? We sat here and listened for the last 3 years of, I got to fix it. I got to fix it. I'm going to fix it. It falls on me. Okay, cool. We get that. You're the one making all the money. We don't have to tell us that. Everybody knows that. But you keep covering for special teams is getting old. How do you fix that part of it? Because it's going to continue to cost you, and at some point, it's going to cave the roof in a game that you're in. I mean, Alabama's beatable. Alabama is by no means immortal. You could easily be in a fourth quarter game with Alabama a month from now, easily with the talent that you have. But if you're still making elementary mistakes on special teams, I mean, what gives? Fix that stuff. I mean, it's incredible to see just how bad they are at that part of the game. And I think that the offensive play calling needs to improve as well, but there still is opportunities out there for plays to be made that they just don't make them, man. I mean, Jaden Daniels in the second quarter on a 3rd down and 8 rips one on the sideline to Malik Neighbors. Rips it. Doesn't think about it. Drops back. Throws it right on the line on a laser. 1st down pickup. That's probably the best pass I've seen him throw all year. He just dropped back, didn't think about it, saw it was open, put it in a tight window, put it in a playmaker's hand. Malik Neighbors makes one guy miss, gets a couple of yards after the catch. 1st down, move the chains. Didn't see it again.
They're very inconsistent.
Well, I mean, that's the part where he's trying to change, where he's trying to make the effort to change. And I commend him for trying to do that. But at this point, you're asking a tiger to change his stripes. I mean, no pun intended, but I mean, it's not going to happen. It's on us for thinking that it will happen at this point. It's the personality of the player that's in that position. And, you've played another game. You don't have another game, no interceptions, and you get blown out. That's not good. That's not a good thing. I mean, they're not taking and giving themselves chances to make plays. And when you run, I mean, that Tennessee game plan was so simple. Like, their offense was, I'm telling you, that's flag football offense. Cornerbacks are playing back, throw wide receiver screen. Play the numbers. They get back in the box, just run it. I mean, the difference with Tennessee's offense on Saturday than any time you've ever seen them play is that they committed to the run game and they didn't have to get out of it.
No, LSU totally abandoned it.
I mean,
like, the narrative got so out of hand for Jaden Daniels to throw the ball. If you were in the stadium, the fan base was on tilt because every time he dropped back to pass, it was like everybody played quarterback their entire life.
Oh, no, I was going to ask what
everybody
that
was
like
he's wide open. It's like everybody's all of a sudden not watching the ball for the first time in their life. They're all looking at wide receivers, and they all can play quarterback. Like, Jaden Daniels did not lose you that football game. Coaching did.
Right.
That was all on coaching and I think when you look at the 4th downs, Jordy, I think it was because he was trying to mask the special teams. He was going for it because he didn't want special teams out there again because they consistently make mistakes. So fuck it, let's go for it. Because what are we going to do? Punt it? And then we're going to outkick our coverage? Like, we can't get anything right? Jay Bramblett's out there making every tackle? Emory Jones is making tackles? Harold Perkins can't play special teams? What are we doing? All right, go for it. Run it in at 4th and 1. Let's run it. 4th and 10. Oh, sack. Give them the ball back. Let them score after you had a sliver of momentum. You finally get some. You finally put points on the board. No, let's go around, give them the ball back, short field, 23 seconds. They kick a field goal. Guess what? Because you decided to receive at the start of the game and fumble, they get the ball to start the second half. They score again. Now it's game over. Everybody bye. Go. Leave. Out of here.
No,
It's fucking hot in
It
here.
was over. It was over in the last fourth down.
Oh, absolutely.
When he went for it on that last fourth down and they get points going into half, that game was over. I mean, there was nothing in the second half that was any type of – I mean, there was nothing you could do from like a scheme standpoint, like strategy standpoint that was going to save what was happening to you.
You can't score 30 points on one possession.
I mean, it's – and look, I'm not calling for people's job. I mean, I'm not saying that you need to fire the offensive coordinator. Louis Mallew, fire the OC. Why? Who said to fire the OC? Who said that? He doesn't have the players to work with. Stop drinking the Jordy Kool-Aid. So you're telling me you don't think that LSU's offense has the players to be an explosive group? Then Louis, I don't know what you're looking at, man. Because when you got an offensive line that's in so much question that LSU's is, and you got players like Malik Neighbors, Kayshon Boutte, Jack Besh, Brian Thomas, John Emery, and those guys are giving you as much space as they were on Saturday, all you got to do is run exactly what Tennessee was doing. Pop, pop. As soon as they step up, throw it over the top. As soon as they back up, just keep running it at them. I mean, all Tennessee was doing was just doing exactly what LSU was giving them. It wasn't out-scheming them. It wasn't outsmarting them. It wasn't breaking them down. It was elementary flag football. Count the numbers. If you're going to give me space on the outside, I'm just going to whip it out there and pick up 8, 9, 10 yards a play.
That's embarrassing.
I mean, it was very, very basic, very elementary. That's the thing about Tennessee that I couldn't wait to see this high-octane, full-tempo, offensive mind and Josh Heupel come in here and see what he was going to do against Matt House. I mean, I told my buddy Jesse McCormick, who's got a third grade, second grade flag football team, watch the film of Tennessee in the first half and install that offense into your first grade, second grade flag football group. Seriously. If they play off of you on the outside, just throw wide receiver screen to those freak athletes you got out there. When they come up, just throw it over the top of them. If they bounce out of you, just hand it off. That's all they were doing to LSU on Saturday. I mean, that's all they were doing. It was nothing. Hendon Hooker, if the season ended today, he'd probably win the Heisman Trophy. But it wasn't because of his performance on Saturday. He did what he was supposed to do. He's still got moments against Alabama coming up this weekend. He's got moments coming up against Georgia down the schedule that he'll have chances to be and have those Heisman moments. But all the LSU game is to Hendon Hooker is a nice road win. I mean, he didn't do anything that was spectacular. All he did was go there and
business as usual.
Just kind of beat a team that looked unprepared. Mm-hmm. Really. I mean, and that's just the most concerning part. Do you have these in, building a program like Brian Kelly is tasked with doing? Yeah, you do. I mean, you're going to have some of these clunkers where, you think that you're ready for the moment and you're ultimately not. But the most concerning part about looking back at Saturday was you weren't that far off if you just
play your normal game.
If you just would have given yourself a chance. I mean, like a couple of decisions here early on. Get the 3 points on that first fourth down. Don't go for it in that field position. Like, what are you saying to your team? Like, what are you telling your group that's, sitting there and affected by these decisions on what they think of where you guys are from believing in them? I just thought that it was a very desperate feeling coaching staff in a game that you felt like you were close to evenly matched. And
that's the thing.
For Harold Perkins not to be on the field.
Well, what's the
I don't know.
backstory with that?
I have no idea. I mean, I'm going at noon today, and I will ask that if it's not asked. I mean,
it has to be asked.
But I'd imagine that somebody's going to ask when just
principle.
Just like, where's one of your best players? That feels very, I hate to bring it up, but I mean, it just feels very Les Miles. Mm-hmm. It feels very like, how is DJ Welter playing over Kendall Beckwith? How does that happen? Like, how do you go through multiple games where that was happening? How do you go through a series, 2 series on Saturday, seeing what was happening at the – how many tackles did Greg Penn miss? How many times was he out of position? I like Greg Penn. He's a good player. He's not as good as Harold Perkins. Play the better players. Like, how is there any scenario that exists that anybody in a meeting room preparing for that game looked at a personnel package and it did not include 40? And for that to happen layered and nobody stand up and be like, hold up, fellas, we're really going to roll the ball out there on Saturday and not have Perkins on the field? Like, don't you think that plays into Hendon Hooker's hand? I mean, why in the hell would you not have? I don't know what you could tell me that I would be like, well, I get it now. Like, it
would have to be.
If he's healthy and he's in good standing with the team, academically, doing what he's supposed to do behind the scenes, stuff that we don't know about. If all that stuff, I mean, he was just the Scholar Athlete of the Month at LSU in September. I mean, he just had a pick on the road on a crucial drive against Auburn last week. The hell could have happened in 7 days to keep this cat off the field?
He played 9 plays.
I mean, that was some Columbus Day, Les Miles type bullshit. I mean,
the more you look at it, the more there's some similarities to what VK is doing, whether it be bringing in Dim Brock after you've already fired him once, and then you're going to bring in your old offensive coordinator because you couldn't get Tommy Rees to leave Notre Dame. You bring the only coach that does leave with you is your special boy, little Polian, and he keeps absolutely just bungling. Probably, I mean, I'm not a coach, but would you say the special teams is probably the easiest part of the gig? If you're going to pick one thing to coach, I would imagine
to be the special teams coach at LSU is probably the easiest coordinator. I'm not saying that it's easy to do.
Me either.
But, I mean, if you're telling me that I've got the selection of the entire meeting room at LSU, I can choose the wide receivers, I can choose the running backs, I can choose the DBs, I can choose the linebackers. Hell, I can choose the offensive linemen like they were doing, I guess, to go out there and put together the best 11 for a kickoff and a punt team to cover. Bruh, I mean, how many 4 and 5 stars you want to choose from? You know, I mean, like, how many guys do you want to have out there rather than having, no disrespect, but Wes Weeks out there covering punts? Like, I like Weeks. Good player, good program guy. Can't tackle in the open field. Make the change. Make the change. You know, I mean, like, obviously not one of your best 11. Put one of your best 11 out there. That's the type of stuff that you look at and you're like, this feels like less. This feels like you're watching someone that's not trying to win the game. Like, what are you doing? How could Perkins not be not only on defense, put him on the punt team? Like, he's a freshman in college.
Well, that has to be it, right? They didn't think he has the experience to be there against
Experience?
Tennessee's offense. I know,
he's covered a punt.
I know,
he's been doing it. I mean,
so young.
Jordan covered a punt yesterday in 5th and 6th grade football. You know how good Harold Perkins was in covering punts when he was in 5th and 6th grade football? Yeah, there's no explanation. There's no explanation. There's no explanation. Why? No.
But it was
Harold Perkins is one of your best players. Who gives a damn what his experience is?
Right.
Put him out. Wes Weeks has played a lot of football.
Yeah.
He's got a little good experience. You know what that looks like? Crumpled up on the field, missing tackles.
Exactly.
That's what it looked like.
But
no disrespect, but that's what it is. You know, I mean, that's inexplicable.
Yeah.
At that level. not to play your best players.
Yeah, it is. It was dumb.
It's
I'm just trying
inexplicable.
to think of what was going on in their head with that.
Then just for the game to be so chaotic from the jump, like you see Polian like sprinting down the sidelines, telling people to switch positions on kickoff because you feel like you learned something right before the game where they're gonna, looks like they're gonna sky it, let's
Yeah.
flip. Just tell. So you don't trust. You put Clayton back there, but you don't trust him. You don't put him back there to block because he's not very big.
Yeah.
So, but we have to split. We flip it. We have to do it. And then it puts Jack Betch in immediate like panic mode. Of course he's going to drop it because he's running, he's looking, he might have been on the side of the field yet. Just
What did people do in
Clayton,
the stadium when that happened? Like,
just
what was
sit
the
down.
atmosphere
You just
around
sit.
that?
You're just like, all right, it's going to be like this all
Yeah.
day.
Well, I mean, you've seen it before. That's
Right.
the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been there for the
But
last
just
15
tell
years,
Clayton to fair
you've
catch
seen
it, and you get at the 25, and everything's normal.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of Jarrett Lee against Georgia, and before you even get to your seat, the first play is a pick six, and you're like, okay, this is what happens. This is how LSU's playing right now. Like, do your best to stop shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. And they keep doing it. It's like it's almost harder to be this bad at special teams than it is to be good
It
at
is.
it.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It is. Kenny Mack 409 overreaction Monday. No doubt. No doubt.
Well,
Yeah.
the score is not indicative of how that game could have gone. Like, LSU is not 30 points worse than Tennessee.
Right.
Like, everybody, I mean, that's probably one of the worst home losses I've ever been a part of, as like going to LSU games since I've been going for 17 years. And that was as bad as it's ever been in Tiger Stadium. I mean, you heard Rocky Top every other, and they were loving it. Good for them. I mean,
Yeah,
great. They
right.
traveled, like,
Right.
enjoy it. But it was just as frustrating an experience as you can be a part of when you're just like, okay, everything that could have gone right went wrong. Like, every lucky bounce that LSU maybe has gotten throughout the year whenever you see a muffed punt or they're able to recover a fumble or anything like that, cause a turnover, nothing went LSU's way. You have a on the first drive, you have a 3rd and 3 to Kayshon Boutte. He drops it, and it's just the same story, different chapter, except you didn't win.
It really
There was
is.
no comeback. And it's just, you can't continue to put yourself in those situations and expect to win. And then everything leading up to the game was just a debacle. It's just bad all around. Like, LSU deserved to lose that game because of how they went into the week.
Toyer Malvo, Jordy, you should apply for the job. Sounds like you have it all figured out. You get it, Toyer, and hire me as the OC. We'll
we
take him
go.
down, bro.
This season's not lost. yet.
Cajun-omics, did Boutte lose a lot of his speed? I don't think so. I don't think he did. I mean, if you saw him on the if you saw it on the jet sweep against Southern, he looked very fluid. You know, I mean, he looked very quick, fast, agile, like he's looked.
I thought he was more productive against Tennessee, but then it was too late. Half of it was in the second half of the game, and it was over by then.
Yeah. I mean, he did drop one early on. He dropped a slant route early on. I thought he got the 4th down that he reached for, the 3rd down.
It was a 4th down.
The 4th down that he reached for.
It really seemed pretty apparent that he did.
I thought that it was an easy call. I mean, the ball where he's tackled, the ball was extended. It looked like past well past the marker.
He immediately was like first
Yeah.
down. Like, he wasn't thinking, but he
Yeah.
didn't think it was close.
Even Cortez Hankton was kind of standing right there, and he was like looking back, like, "We got it."
Move the
You know,
chains, yeah.
absolutely.
That was weird.
So the Kayshawn stuff is, I don't get it because he's a lot better than that. I still think that there's a little bit of, you got to get him involved in the first 15, and you got to get him going, and he's got to catch the ball. You know, I mean, it's definitely two ways. But look, man, Kayshon Boutte, for 2 years that you've seen him play, was a lot of the time the best wide receiver, the best player, the most explosive game breaker on the field. That stuff hasn't vanished. It's not there. And he's going to be a high round draft pick. He's going to play on Sundays, and LSU needs to make the most of him while they have him. And it's just not happening right now. And I don't think that it's solely LSU's fault. I don't think that it's solely Kayshon's fault. But somewhere they got to meet in the middle, and they got to become more productive at this point. I mean, the play calling needs to improve. Kayshon's energy and production needs to improve.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it goes two ways.
Mm-hmm. But it's the same story every week.
Yeah,
With
it
them.
is. It is.
It's kind of beating a dead horse at this point.
Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Get in touch with Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works today. You can call them at 776-2431, 225-776-2431. number 1 and a number 2 business. Get in touch with Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works as they can help you out with all of your plumbing needs today, whether it's commercial, residential. Get in touch with them. They can also have experienced carpenters on staff, so they can help you with your next industrial, commercial remodel or your residential. Get in touch with Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Mention the Culotta Show and save yourself 15%. Save 15% the next time you call Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. 225-776-2431. 225-776-2431 is the number to get involved here. Tennessee plays Alabama this weekend, and for the first time in really since the 90s, the third Saturday in October feels relevant. I mean, this is kind of the rivalry weekend Saturday for these two teams, and for a long time it was a very worked up rivalry. For a long time it feels like Alabama has owned that rivalry, and this Saturday, as Alabama makes the trip to Neyland into Knoxville, it feels like this game is going to be as evenly matched as it has been in some time. Game day, I would expect to be there in Tennessee come Saturday. The environment should be rocking. But the reason why I believe that Tennessee has a chance is because of their quarterback, because of the guy that's going to be signal calling. And the reason why Alabama felt like they were in enormous trouble on Saturday was because of their quarterback. For as much as we've highlighted Jalen Milroe and talked about who he is, 3 turnovers later, right? Couple of picks and a fumble. And how about that play calling at the end of the game by Alabama, where they go 3 straight like power dives and give the ball back to Texas A&M with an opportunity to win? You think they throw it there if it's Bryce Young? You think they have all those turnovers if Bryce Young's on the field on Saturday? It's all about the quarterback play, man.
We're going to see how good Tennessee is on
Yeah,
Saturday.
absolutely you will.
That's going to be the test, I think.
Absolutely. And look, I'm a believer in Tennessee. I'm a believer in Tennessee because of number 5. If he's with them and he's healthy and he's there, they got a shot, because they're not great, especially on defense. I mean, I don't know if they have a pro on defense.
No, it's just their offense. But we're going to see.
I mean,
If you had to guess the line or the spread for Alabama,
Bama
Tennessee, 2 points.
Bama 3.
Alabama -7.
Whew. I'm jumping on Tennessee
Okay.
right now. I'm taking it right now. I'm serious.
What do you think LSU and Florida is?
Florida 7, 6.5.
LSU catching 2.5.
Wow. There's still respect for LSU, and you know
should
why?
be.
Because their roster,
Yeah.
because they
Well,
have
if you play the right guys.
because they have good players.
Well,
But people know the roster. You know, I mean, they don't anticipate seeing Greg Penn. They all anticipate seeing Harold Perkins.
This season is not over.
oh, I don't
Look,
think
it's
it
gonna
is
be
either.
an
That was
8-win
just it was
season.
just
Like, we're fine.
disappointing.
Y'all are fine.
It was just disappointing.
No, I
Never
don't.
really
I
gave
don't.
yourself a chance.
I don't think it's over
Me
either.
either. You just wanted to see. Hopefully, you get Will Campbell back. That seemed to be
Yeah.
like the biggest probably indicator of what LSU was going to do moving forward. Like I said, the narrative of the quarterback has to throw the ball down the field. You basically pit your fan base against your quarterback going into the game. That's a lose-lose scenario for if you're Jaden Daniels. Like, there's no way that I can do this right. It doesn't matter what I do. Like, unless I complete every ball down the field, you know, they're rooting for me essentially to fail, because now they all know what LSU wants me to do or what the coaching staff expects me to do. And that's not a very easy thing to do all of the time. Then you couple that with the way that the game was called, and then you lose your left tackle, then you lose Dellinger. It was just, from the jump, it felt like LSU never really had a chance, even though they should have been in that game.
Yeah,
It's not as bad as the scoring indicates.
literally from the jump.
But if you get Will Campbell back for Florida, I feel like that will be another competitive. And then you have the Billy Napier, Brian Kelly narrative comes up this year.
Yeah. Nate Kelly Bowl 1
Here we go. Start keeping score. Don't shake anybody's hand
at Florida. First one.
in the swamp.
6:30
11 a.m.
kickoff?
I don't know.
No, I think it's 6:30.
It is at.
I think it's the SEC Network 6:30 game.
Is it 6 o'clock? Yes, on ESPN.
Oh, 6 o'clock on ESPN. I just secured Tennessee plus the 7 to see what this thing
That's
does.
what you're doing over there.
I'm over your camera. Hey, yes. I already put it LSU plus 3.5. I had bought a point just to see. It's not going to come down to a field goal for LSU. I know that. They're not going to kick it. Haven't seen him kick a field goal yet. Feels like they never.
LSU?
Yeah, they don't trust him.
Yeah. I think they trust the kicker. They don't trust the protection.
They shouldn't.
A lot of trust issues going on.
All right, we'll be back. Second hour, we're going to do guest. I got Jake Crain coming up here at 8 a.m. Then we're going to have a little bit of Caskey's teasers. Caskey's clicker here at 8:15, just a short section.
Okay.
As Caskey will be here breaking down LSU offense. We'll also be looking at a little bit of the New Orleans Saints. Saints roll, or not roll, but Taysom Hill rolled in the 39-32 win yesterday versus Geno Smith, who looked like freaking, I mean,
like Victor Montana.
Good God, man. I mean, when did Geno Smith?
He's going to win MVP.
He's dropping balls in the bucket, dude. I mean, it was just like dropping
It was comical.
dimes, dude.
Because
That one to Tyler Lockett was the best throw I think I've seen all year. I mean, he drops Lattimore and another DB are like laying in the end zone, rolling around in pain. And I mean, like, he just dropped it into right in the middle of them.
Geno's last 3 games against the Falcons, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns. Against the Lions, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns. Against the Saints, 270 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's on fire, and he's not good, but apparently he is now. Like, this is Geno Smith from West Virginia.
Creek Dweller. I'm telling you, man, I was sitting in the stadium, and I said the exact same thing. Creek Dweller writes in, he says, I was at the game. I quit focusing on Jaden Daniels and just started watching the wide receivers running their routes. I'll say this. If Hendon Hooker played for LSU and JD played for Tennessee, LSU would have won the game. I said the exact same thing at halftime. If you take these two teams, I know that the score was, what was it at half? 23-3, 23-7. If you take these two teams and you just trade the quarterbacks at halftime, LSU would win. Because when you looked at LSU's, I'm telling you, I believe it's the second series of the game. Kayshawn is one-on-one running a post from the slot. If Jaden Daniels just puts it and throws it at the goal post, just throws it to the deep part of the field, Kayshawn's still running. He's still running. He hits a 75-yard touchdown early in that game, and everybody's – it doesn't matter that Besh fumbled the opening kickoff. Doesn't mean that it doesn't matter if special teams still blows. I mean, you hit that play, and it would have felt like Reuben Randall catching that crosser against Alabama from Jordan Jefferson when it was just like, oh, my God, LSU can do this. They can actually throw the ball down the field and make a play past 10 yards. And if that would have happened, it felt like they just needed that. They just needed that, you know? I mean, James Wade, Booty would have dropped that pass too. But, I mean, LSU, quarterback, huge position, very important.
Breaking news.
I mean, that's why I think the inside information on LSU is that they believe Walker Howard is the best quarterback on the team now. I mean, they just have to get him prepared and ready to play.
I mean, do you think that obviously you don't want a Jamie Howard, Walker Howard situation where he plays early, gets spooked, and it doesn't feel worth it, right? Like, what's the end game if you play Walker Howard now? It doesn't seem like that's the plan. At least this feels like you have a plan moving forward. That said, I don't know if Denbrock's here next year.
Yeah,
You're going to have to change OCs at some point. He's not going to make it through Walker's entire tenure, so you might as well just wait this one out.
Yeah, and look, I don't think that – I think the plan on Walker has always been to make sure and have him prepared when the time is right, and they thought that they could, get through that patchwork it with Daniels, Nussmeier, whoever was going to win that job and win games. And look, this is a reaction Monday, and I'm not saying to put Walker Howard in the game and play him, but as – early as week 2 in the season, I mean, we were hearing that Walker Howard clearly, without question, throws the best ball on this team. Like as far as passing goes, in practice, if you want to stretch the ball down the field, 14's the guy, right? It's just the timing's not right for him in his development. It's just not time. And how much do you want to put him in there with the instability now at the offensive line? It's
I personally felt like Jaden did better. I thought
I
he was
did.
more, I thought he was
I
more
thought he
aggressive
played
No, he did.
into
He
the
did
tighter
do-
spots. I think he just
did
had
do
little
better.
help. I just think he didn't have the help from his O-line. And I mean,
Yeah.
I think he did good. I
he
don't
did
think he
do
should be
better.
really worried about his
No, it's
job.
not- I agree.
That's just my opinion.
No,
but
he did do better. He did do better.
The offensive
But-
line let him down.
Yeah, they did.
And it was
I
a
really think
combination of
that.
stuff. But when you're just evaluating Jaden Daniels, and again, when we're evaluating Jaden Daniels, it's not saying to pull him, sit him, bench
Right.
him, play the other guy. It's just saying that his top priority is protecting the football. And what LSU needs at this point is they need some risk reward. They need some chances to make plays. They need some opportunities to make big plays, and they don't get that with him.
Right.
Right? Like that's what
But he's not getting the help.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
no doubt
I
about
mean-
it. No doubt about it. But what he sees, he's got to react to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the position of playing quarterback is you have to read and react.
Yeah.
And when you read it, you have to react to it. And he reads it, he's just not reacting to it. Or his reaction is just to hold it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And run with it.
Right.
When he sees it, I mean, like Brian Kelly. I mean, I believe it was at the end of the first quarter when that happened in that timestamp of, like it was a 3rd down and 1. So they were obviously thinking about it going for it on 4th down to run a play where they're, sending guys deep. But you've got a 2-man route and both of them are 1-on-1. And he throws it out of bounds. I mean, like he throws it over Tennessee's bench. And when he looks back at Kelly, you can tell he's kind of like looking at Kelly like, what's he so mad about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's kind of like, he kind of looks back at him, and Kelly is like, it's 1-on-1. Throw the fucking ball.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like, what? I mean, like, throw it.
Right.
He did play better,
Yeah, he did.
but that's who he is. That play is who he is.
Right.
That 3rd down and 1 right there is, I don't like this. I'm throwing it away. Where you're just like, bro, it's all good. Throw it up there and see if Brian Thomas can make that play. I mean, did you see Brian Thomas jump for that ball in the middle of the field? I mean, that's a 40-inch vertical in the middle of an SEC football field. I like what I see. Throw it up again to him. You know what I mean? Like, do it again. Well, this time they picked it off. Okay, they probably won't pick it off next time.
Right.
Just keep throwing it up to him. All right, we'll be back. Second hour. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. Jake Crain of Crain and Company. We'll talk about the SEC weekend. How much should Alabama be worried about their trip to Neyland? Will Bryce Young go? You got to think that Bryce Young will be the starting quarterback come this Saturday when the Vols host Alabama. We will also talk to him about how bad Oklahoma is. Good Lord, how bad is Oklahoma? Texas with another win. Quinn Ewers pretty impressive. Being back as the signal caller for the Longhorns. We'll talk all about that. Texas A&M, where do they go from here? We'll talk to Jake Crain about it. We'll also get a film breakdown from Coach Kyle Caskey coming up here at about 8:15 this morning, 8:20 here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Hit the like button, share button, comment button. We'll be back here with Hour 2 next. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. We love the crew over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Chef Shane and his crew dropping off the meals every Monday here to FM Digital Media, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. Me or the crew's going through our meals over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Their weekly pre-order, freshly made meals, or you can walk into the cooler over there on Airline Highway. They have that fresh, same service over there at Fresh Chef Eats. FreshChefEats.com is where you can find them online. Fresh Chef Kitchen. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. I was embarrassed about my smile. Are you unhappy at yours? Do you not smile back at yourself? I called my friend, Dr. Spillers, over at Johnson Spillers. He fixed my smile, and now everywhere I go, people are complimenting it after the work that Dr. Spillers and the staff did to my mouth. They can do it to yours. Get in touch with them. JohnsonSpillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easy to find them, JohnsonSpillers.com.
Good afternoon. Just want to remind everybody that it's Columbus Day, that all those of you that know Italians and like Italians, or the people that might venture onto a ship and travel to explore and find new lands, this is your day. So it's not St. Paddy's Day. That's a different day entirely.
Never diet again. Instead,
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Ghost Chevrolet, as we are taking your reaction, giving reaction.
Hebrew Bob's asking, what did we talk about Perkins barely playing? We don't know why he barely played. We think it was a dumb decision, but we did speak about that earlier.
Yes.
We just don't have the answers.
Tiger droppings?
What?
Surely something is.
Harold Perkins?
Yeah.
I mean, he played.
Played 9 plays.
But not
2
enough.
in the first half.
I mean,
Not enough.
that's the thing. I mean, like, outside of something, like affecting his status, some type of grade, some type of something that's going on behind the scenes in the program.
I mean, you would think it would be that, but I think it was just a bad decision.
Well, if that's a
terrible
decision
decision.
not
Right?
to
I mean,
play
it was
him.
terrible.
I mean, for as good as Matt House has been, this year, and he's been phenomenal.
I think he was scared. I think he was scared to put him against Tennessee's offense. I think he was scared of his inexperience. I mean, there's no other explanation really, right? Unless it was a grade thing or a. But
so I'd be scared to play. I'd be scared to play Greg. I'd be scared to play Greg Penn. I mean, and that's no knock on Penn, but I mean, if I'm looking all week at practice and I'm watching Penn run and I'm watching Harold Perkins run, I'd say, hey man, we got to play 40, right? I mean,
just trying to come up with something.
Cares about his damn. I mean, who cares? I mean, the guy was the best player on the field against Mississippi State and Auburn.
Yeah, that's the
what
thing.
makes you think he's not going to be it? I'm not talking to you. You know what I mean?
And Westweek's
we're
got
trying
hurt.
to figure it out.
Like there was plenty of opportunity to play Harold Perkins with Westweek's out.
Yeah, it was a weird decision.
Plenty of opportunity. Start him and don't take him
Don't
off
ever
the
think
field.
about it again.
Don't overthink it.
That's all they did. They overthought everything.
Dumb man. All right, Jake Crain said he's getting in here.
Too much Adderall.
At some point, we'll talk
Right,
to him
he's
about
here
the
now.
SEC weekend. We'll also talk to Kyle Caskey from Caskey's Clicker. Make sure you are subscribed to that on YouTube, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the film breakdown from the weekend. But let us get up to Jake Crain and our good buddy up there that you can always catch every single morning as he has his show, Crain and Company. He is the host over there at the National Sports Show. You can follow him on Twitter at @JakeCrain_ to get more information. Jake, good morning. How are you?
What's up, guys? I appreciate y'all having me back. And good one for the Saints yesterday, not so much for LSU on Saturday.
Yeah, you and I have talked a lot about this because your background is special teams. You served on the special teams department over at Auburn when you were on that staff. We talked about this week 1 versus Florida State. Now we're talking about it here again in week 6 versus Tennessee. What do you make of how bad LSU is in that department?
Well, it surprises me because LSU's been a team, especially when they're good, that has dominated on special teams. They've used special teams as sometimes the difference between Alabama and then when they've played in the past. So watching LSU struggle on special teams is kind of like watching Utah struggle on special teams. It's kind of like, watching a fat kid win a cross-country contest. It just really doesn't happen, and it looks weird when you see it. It's cost them. It's been detrimental. I mean, think about it. When you have an offense that hasn't been able to be as explosive as what you thought, and Jaden Daniels is kind of nervous about taking chances down the field, you've got to be able to use special teams to win field position. Not only that, but to give your defense short fields. And it's not just the fumbled kick. It's not just the missed kicks. It's the punts that aren't getting the distance you want. It's not pinning teams back as much as possible. It's not getting the big returns that put a struggling offense in better field position. So it's been tough. As a former special teams coach, I hate it for those guys. But at the end of the day, you get paid to tell those players what to do and be able to put in systems that work for them. Sometimes, I think LSU, y'all were talking about overthinking it. I think they do too much sometimes. Instead of just being good at base things, having a couple kickoff covers in, having a guy that can boot it through the end zone every time. I'll never understand teams that have guys that can kick it through the end zone but don't kick touchbacks every time. I'll never understand it, Jordan.
It is overthinking. It is so Les Miles. It is so annoying, dude. I mean, it's just kick it through the back of the end zone. I mean, don't overthink this stuff, man. And I mean, the out-kick the coverage stuff, I know that is a coaching term and that exists, but when you watch LSU's punt team, they're all grouped up in one section of the field.
They're not getting into their lanes, and they're not recognizing rush to hold up. When you're running these spread style punts and things like this, you can tell what the return team is doing typically by their eyes and their feet. Sometimes the eyes will fool you, but if the feet are square, they're holding you up. I used to say feet square, eyes ahead, it's a hold up. Feet staggered, eyes at the long snapper, they're coming after it to block it. LSU isn't reading guys that are holding them up. You'll see them come off the line and be ropey-doped in with guys that are supposed to hold them up. You just got to go. You got to be able to read it. It seems like LSU, to have a special teams coach that is so experienced and grew up obviously around football, they're trying to be complicated without doing the little things right. And when you do that, it never ends up good.
Hendon Hooker, how good is he?
He's good. I mean, he's the best hooker in Tennessee, that's for sure.
You don't know that.
You look at, I am in Nashville. No, when you look at Tennessee, and we talked about this, in the opening of the show, Hendon Hooker has put himself in position to actually have a chance to win the Heisman. What do I mean by that? Does he have the best numbers ever of all time up to this point? No. Pretty comparable to RG3's numbers, though, if you look at it the year he won the Heisman. But with Hendon, you've given yourself a chance now, winning at Pitt, winning, at home against Florida, winning on the road against LSU, and having the numbers he has to be able to play in a big game and win a huge game against Alabama at home and have that Heisman moment. Because in order to win the Heisman, especially if you're not a front runner in the beginning like a C.J. Stroud or a Bryce Young, you've got to be able to win some big-time games and have huge moments against competitors that have a chance to win the Heisman. Well, I think Bryce Young's going to play this weekend, and you have a hell of a chance. If you want to pass Bryce Young in the Heisman race and get close to C.J. Stroud, who I think's leading it right now, you've got a golden opportunity, but you've put yourself in that position, and you deserve it. Now you got to go take it.
Alabama A&M, what was your instant reaction to that game from Saturday?
Man, well, A&M staying in that game, there was the only way they were going to be able to stay in that game was how they stayed in it. Alabama turning the ball over, making mistakes. And if you noticed Alabama, the past couple weeks in the second half especially, has made some uncharacteristic mistakes. I mean, even against Arkansas. You snap one off the PP, off the punter, the personal protector, and Arkansas gets the ball inside the 5. I know you're starting to back up quarterback. I know there were a lot of moving parts. A&M, I thought Haynes King played about as well as you could have asked Haynes King to play. He's got the ugliest throwing motion I've ever seen, but he didn't to absolutely blow the game. The interception before halftime wasn't very good, but A&M had a chance. But at the end, that play call, to me, that's like, I said this on the show today, that play call at the end, you don't even really give yourself a chance. That's like making your mind up, like today at school in the hallway, I'm definitely asking this girl out. Like I've been prepping for like 2 months to go up and ask this girl out. And finally you get your chance. You guys meet in the hallway and you just look at it and you're like, hey, what's up? And you just keep on walking by. That's what it felt like.
You really told her, bro.
She's so into you.
Right. She definitely looked at you.
Yeah.
Does Tennessee have a chance Saturday?
Hell yeah. I mean, I'm assuming Bryce is going to play. I don't think there's a chance in hell that Bryce doesn't play. But I think for the first time, Tennessee has a legitimate chance because they're good enough and Alabama's weak in some spots. In the past, they've had games that they're at Tennessee where you're like, all right, the only way Tennessee is going to win this game is if Alabama screws up and Tennessee plays their A-plus game. And we just haven't had that. Now with this team, I think, Tennessee actually believes that they're better than Alabama. Deep down. Not the, what I'm going to tell reporters or, me around the boys talking trash, this, that, and the other. When you lay your head down at night to sleep by yourself, I think deep down they really think they can beat Alabama. The biggest thing is tempo. When you're going that fast, you cannot go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 4-play touchdown drive, 3 and out, 3 and out, because your defense is going to be on the field way too long. Look at the amount of snaps that Tennessee's defense is out on the field the first half. I think that'll be a good barometer in how they have a chance to win the game in the second.
Jake, how bad is Oklahoma?
Number one, Quinn Ewers is everything as advertised, just from a physical and mental standpoint. But Oklahoma, if you look, and I kind of compared them a little bit to Arkansas on defense, they don't have a ton of team speed at the linebacker and secondary position. I mean, you look against TCU, Max Duggan and those guys are fast, but they're not going to be running the 100 meters for the Jamaican track team anytime soon. But against Oklahoma, they look like the fastest people in the world. Well, Brent Venables is going to take a little bit of time. We knew that. Dylan Gabriel not playing, that game was a loss before they even got off the bus. They were never going to be able to score enough. And with the lack of speed, like I said, on defense, especially at linebacker in the secondary, they turned little plays into big plays. They turned broken plays into positive plays. I thought they did about as good of a job as they could against Texas until they realized the offense has no chance in hell at scoring. And then the floodgates just kind of went through and they got worn down. But I think Brent will be fine at Oklahoma. Everybody will pile on now, but that guy will have that place. I guarantee you'll have that defense right before it's said and done in the next couple of years.
We're looking at this weekend. Tell more in Texas, more in Quinn Ewers. And is there a what if factor with him of what Texas could be with him if he was healthy up to this point, or what can they be moving forward?
Well, I always say if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. But I mean, I don't think it's crazy to sit here and say when you watch the way that Quinn played against Bama early, how everything didn't look too fast for him, how confident he looked. It was the same guy against Oklahoma. I mean, the dude's just a dog. Let's be honest. But the difference in Quinn, he's not like one of these young guys that can throw it 80 yards but has no touch, or that he really doesn't know what he's looking at. He's just out there being athletic, as a freshman or as a young guy out there playing. He's the total package. I mean, physically, he can throw the whole shot versus cover two. He's got a strong enough arm for the deep ball, but he also has touch. He can throw the changeup. He can throw the ball in between levels and take some off. But the biggest thing for him, it's his fundamentals and his IQ. Watch how he sets his feet. Watch how he can change his arm angle. Watch how he finishes on throws and gets his lower body into it. But watch how slow everything looks. He is diagnosing not only coverages, but protections very quickly. And moving forward, that just gives Sarks more ammo to add more witchery to the playbook, which you saw a little bit in that first half.
Yeah, for sure. All right, one more on Texas A&M. Bring me back to that Alabama game. Where are they mentally? It sounded like that was that a one that Jimbo was trying to take a moral win away from?
Well, I don't believe in moral victories. You're not paying $10 million a year for moral victories. I mean, at some point, you beat Alabama last year, all right, and it's year 5, and I think next year is going to be their best year. I really do. I really believe that with what they have coming back. I know they've heard next year, since 1939, but hell, since you've waited that long, you can wait another year. I think it's just to the point where it kind of is what it is. I think Jimbo needs to bring in an offensive coordinator. I think he needs to mix it up. They need a full year in the offseason with Max Johnson at quarterback. But you're going to get that whole offensive line back. You're going to get that front 7 back. It just kind of is what it is right now. I mean, they're kind of, it's like we were talking about today. I think you got a little bit of the fat kid at the pool afraid to take his shirt off syndrome now with A&M a little bit. You're really excited about going to the party, but then you get a little nervous because you're a chubby kid and everybody else is normal size. And it just, at this point with A&M, it's kind of mid. I don't know another way to say it. It's just mid. And for you older crowd out there, that just means okay. It's just okay. It's the white Goodman. I'm not okay. You're not okay, but that's okay. That situation.
You're okay, man.
Yeah, $60 a gram.
Everything's okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Jake, thank you very much, buddy. Have a great rest of the week. At Jake_Crain is where you follow him on Twitter. Real quick, at Jake Crain _. Real quick, LSU Florida. This is going to be a game that's going to be measured for a long time between Napier and Kelly because these two felt like they were on the LSU job. Kelly got it. Napier ended up in Gainesville. A lot of people in Baton Rouge are going to be looking at this one and keeping record. How do you like the first matchup?
God, I love the under. I can tell you that much.
Yes.
I think it's going to come down to which quarterback can actually get to their second read. If any quarterback's going to get to their second read, I think they'll have a chance to move the ball. But as long as Jayden Daniels is in there and AR keeps, playing like he's playing, I don't see it. So you know what? I do think LSU bounces back, but Florida finds a way. Anthony Richardson's that much of an alien. So give me Florida by a field goal in overtime. So Florida 3-0.
Later, buddy. Have a good week.
All right, y'all be good.
All right, man. Jake Crain from Crain & Company. Make sure and follow him on Twitter and catch him here every Monday morning. A conversation brought to you by Dead Soxy.
Dead Soxy. Use the code Jordy at deadsoxy.com and get up to 30% off your order. Get your purple and gold socks and get your Christmas orders in. They can do special orders. They can help you draw a design. You can order in bulk for your corporate Christmas gifts. It's a great idea, especially with our promo code Jordy at deadsoxy.com.
Hopefully you are following Caskey's Clicker on YouTube. We will have a short version here next, recapping the weekend from Kyle Caskey as he breaks down LSU's offense, looks at LSU, at the New Orleans Saints, and more. Come back with us. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date, and finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at JordyCulottaShow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Here to the Cosmopolitan Baton Rouge here on this Monday morning. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. Daily, we're brought to you by Go Chevrolet. Appreciate our friends over at Go. Check them out online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Each week we get a breakdown from our coach, Kyle Caskey, longtime NFL assistant and college assistant, breaking down some of the weekend's highlighted plays, including LSU, the New Orleans Saints, and more. Welcome in, Coach. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, man. You know, I didn't live the Sex and the City life like some of us this weekend, but
Wasn't quite there.
I watched a lot of football, and you know, it was a
I
good
did
weekend.
too, even from there.
They have football in New York City.
They did.
That's
Giants
Rutgers.
are
I thought
5-1.
Rutgers was
Yeah.
a
How about Mickey Joseph? And,
I'll
he
tell you
went
what.
into Rutgers on Friday night.
and Mickey's got him rolling.
He's
man.
got him rolling, man.
He made Shiano fire their offensive coordinator. He just got canned.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
LSU.
Wow.
I mean, you bring in Mickey Joseph, and you just get smacked, and then you fire the guy who's on the opposite side. You know, it's
Damn.
like Mickey's an offensive guy. Come on, you should be firing a defensive coordinator.
Right?
Speaking of offense
wood.
and speaking of firings, this LSU offense doesn't look like it is moving in the right direction here after another weekend of watching them play. What did you see on Saturday?
Number one, I don't think it's hard to beat up on the offensive line after everything that happened in such a short amount of time. With the way that, I mean, when you lose your left tackle to whatever happened to him, I get there's stories out there. Whatever happened to him, you know, God bless him. I hope he's okay because he is a good kid and he's going to be a good player. But, you went out and you signed those 2 tackles for a reason. You signed it because the guys you had really weren't cutting it. And you got to look at the guys who came in for them. Those guys are backups now for a reason. And it does get kind of – it's hard to go in and just say, you know what, Anthony Bradford, you haven't really probably practiced tackle all week. You may have practiced some, but you have – all of a sudden you're the starting left tackle. And then, the gunslinger Dellinger gets hurt again. And first off, he's playing with like one hand.
Right.
And it's just, there's those sounds like excuses, but at the same time, that's why if you watch Tennessee's defense for most of the second half, they teed off on the left side of the line. They were just doing pick games and all kinds of things. So that didn't help the cause out any, but I agree. I think, you gotta look at the quarterback position and talk about how he's not pulling the trigger still. And it's not the deep passes that necessarily. It's just throw it. And there's I'm going to get into this 3rd and 1 play that they had. So if you want to throw that up there, this play. Okay, so number 1, this is the Citizens Bank Telestrator.
Look at him.
Throw
Look
that
at
out
him.
there.
There you
So
go.
glad to have them on board with us. My buddy Jared over there does a heck of a job with the branches, so throw a little love out there. All right, looking at this. So obviously, I love this shot because number 1, that's as far as you got to get the ball, and this was at the end of the half. So you're talking about you're on the 46-yard line, and all you got to do is get there to the 47. And here's midfield, and you got a shot at possibly making this a 10-point game. I remember I told my wife watching this game, I said, if they can make this a 10-point game, because they spotted them 10 points at the beginning of the game with the special teams errors, if you get back to 10 points, you're in the game.
Yep.
Like you've just evened them up since you just screwed up the first 2 drives. You've evened it up.
LSU plus 800 at that point. Hopped all over it.
And you're within 10. Yeah, they get the ball. I get it and all that kind of stuff, but I want to talk about this play because this play to me, you got to find either – everybody wants to say, oh, Jaden Daniels should have thrown this ball. Yes, he probably should have. Okay, but my point is this. All right, how many receivers are out in this route?
2.
You got 2 receivers out in this route.
I didn't get that either, Coach.
Somebody else needs to get out. And here's the thing. Everybody's going to say,
Back in the flat?
Well, all these guys are blocking. The tight ends, I'm just telling you right now, the tight ends and the back are blocking because it's man coverage, number 1, and they're adding on. If you got another one of these guys out, run a little sneak. Have him look like he's blocking like this and sneak him over here like every other team does, and you have an outlet right there. All right? Get the back out. Do something just to give yourself another shot at it. So let it play, throws it away, whatever. Okay, now – Here's what I'm going to say about the next play. I think I might have texted this to you actually. I don't know if you were checking your phone during the game, but I said punt the effing ball.
Yeah.
At that point, just punt it.
Absolutely.
Do not give them the ball right there. But if you look at this, here's a different view of it. All right. Just if you watch, it's man coverage. So most of the time on these type of plays, this guy runs here. You saw New Orleans do this on one of my other breakdowns, and this guy goes here, and these 2 dudes run into each other. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But watch what happens here. And I'm not sure I don't know if he's right or wrong, or if this was part of they were trying to wheel him out there. That's the only thing I can think of is that's what that play was. But if you watch it, if he just runs here and runs here, those 2 guys probably run into each other, and you probably hit that shot right there.
It's just a simple little mesh, huh?
And that play is built for man coverage. So
what did you mean when you said it's man coverage, but they're adding on?
Okay, so these 2 guys here, all right, one of these guys is not eligible. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So when they came over like this, so this is unbalanced. So that's a tackle. So this guy's actually on the line. So this guy, the guy on the line, he's ineligible, but this guy's eligible. These guys are eligible. All right. So when they so if it's man coverage, so one of these guys have a man, somebody has those guys in man. Mm-hmm. So when they decide to block, well, they're not just going to stand there. They go ahead and try to add on into the blitz.
Okay.
That's what an add-on is, or a green dog. So you can see how they all kind of added on into the blitz right there. So that's because their guy's not going out in a route. They don't have to cover anymore. One of the things with the LSU defense, and one of the guys that makes me so mad because I'm using this broadcast film, Dan Orlovsky, this dude needs to stop drawing on the screen because he's screwing up my clicker. All right? Do you realize how much of a pain in the ass that is? I mean, stop drawing on my screen, man.
Cucking Caskey.
So anyway, I heard the whole time during the game, and I had seen this earlier in the week, and it didn't really hit me that much. But when you're running, first off, when you're running with tempo, when you're running with so much tempo like they run, that makes the defense very vanilla. Okay, and when I say vanilla, I mean you're not gonna blitz, you're not gonna get as many exotic coverages, you're not gonna get as many roll coverages. You're gonna get cover 3, quarters, cover 2. You're gonna get something that's easy to line up in because you have to. You don't have time to really, put it all together. So they do bring a nickel blitz here, but they're dropping back into cover 3. Now with these big splits, all right, now that opens up this seam area. So this is the seam area between the numbers and the hash, somewhere in that range. And if you're playing cover 3, you got a deep guy playing a third here. You got a deep guy in the very deep middle. And then you got guys spot dropping underneath, and you can get over the top of these guys, and then there's areas within this seam area. So when they motion these guys all the way out there, you can see how much space created, and you got a deep guy back here. This guy just run past, but that's how they were getting so much space. They were going so fast. Their receivers were so wide because you can see how wide they are. I mean, these numbers, like NFL numbers are like in here. The NFL hash is in here. These college numbers are really wide, so you're talking about a ton of space. So if you watch right here, see there's Orlovsky drawn on my freaking screen. But that's what happened. This guy should probably be playing back because, again, this happened, I believe, the week before when they motioned somebody out, and I believe it was Florida. Florida, remember they motioned a guy out like that, and Florida didn't go out with him, and the dude was just running scot-free. Well, this time they didn't drop back. So that's why there should be a guy playing back there. But that's how that happened. So a couple other things on the LSU defense. I know you guys have talked about it, but, Harold Perkins playing 9 plays. I don't personally understand that. I think that's there had to have been something else. Yeah. It couldn't have just been, we just don't want to play the guy. Right. There had to have been something else. And I don't know what that was, but you can get that guy on the field, especially with the amount that they're going to pass it and the type of runs they're doing. It's not like you need these big run stop and 3 techniques inside.
And I agree with you. There has to be something there. But the thing that kills that theory is that when he did get into the game, he was playing out of position. Yeah. Like they were standing him up on the weak side where you rarely see him play that since the first week of the second time that he played, or the first time that he played, because they were just saying, go in there and go get the ball.
Yeah, and I don't know when exactly the first play was. I have to go find it, but I believe it was his second play on the field. He got a holding penalty against him.
Yeah,
and that's what he brings that's what he brings.
Right.
You put him out there, and you get guys. You got the other 2 guys, Ali Gay and Ojulari, out there. And worst case scenario is give those guys a break and let him come in and play for you for a minute. But again, that's neither here nor there. But
real quick before we move on, what did you think of Hendon Hooker? What do you think?
Yeah, he's real.
He's a pro.
He's a pro quarterback. Yeah, because he does things. His release is quick. He has a high release. He plays a game like a quarterback. He sees the field like a quarterback. You can see him looking and doing progressions, and then when he decides to run, he runs. So everybody, it was like Geno Smith yesterday. Everybody's like, well, isn't Geno Smith a running quarterback? No, Geno Smith sits back there, but when he wants to run, he can still do it. So it's like you get those kind of quarterbacks that have that ability, and they don't. Kyler Murray to me is a runner trying to play quarterback. Mm-hmm. But he could throw the ball a mile. Don't get me wrong, but if you watch the way he plays, he's looking to run. So I don't think that's what Hendon Hooker's trying to do. So. Well, off of that, and again, I think that 4th down play after the 3rd down play, last thing I'll say is, you have 4th and 1, And you just got to, if you're going to go for that, then you got to do something. You got to have a way to at least give yourself a chance.
Yeah.
And, I get it that the line was hurting. So run a naked, run a sprint, run something where
What
you
happened to no college can get under center anymore? Like you got third and one, you have to go shotgun. You go fourth and one, you go shotgun again.
You know what drives me even crazier than that? Have you seen the kneel downs at the end of games?
Oh, God, in shotgun?
In shotgun?
Oh, my God.
You just, I mean, if
You're
I'm
losing 3 yards.
I'm sorry, but that's just a waste right there. Get yourself under center. Just be a man and get under center. Go touch another man's butt. Put your hand under another man's butt and take the
Every
snap.
time I see that, I think of Saban and LSU are winning the national championship at the end of the Oklahoma game in 2003, and they're going to win it. Like, they're going to win the game. And the clock is going out, and Matt Malt catches, he gets the center, gets the snap, and he, like, runs backwards before he kneels and takes a knee like 6 yards back, and Saban goes ballistic. I mean, like, he throws his headset, he's jumping up and down, and I'm like, I remember watching it being like, what is he so pissed off about? Like, what's going on? And somebody asked him after the game, and he said, he's losing yards. Like, what is he doing? Like, I was sitting there asking him, like, what you're taking? What are you doing to the field position?
As an offense and as an offensive coach, especially as a running back coach that loves rushing yards,
Kill my stats.
Yeah,
you're taking my stats away.
Yeah, right.
You know, because I mean, I look at that and say that's how I'm going to get a job one day. I want that average at 5.5, not 5.4.
That's right.
You know, and
That's
and you start taking three kneel downs, you lose 15 yards every time because you're in the shotgun. Anyway, enough of that. 'Cause I could go on for that for days. Moving on to the Saints. One of the things I'm going to do this week is I've done like a Wildcat study, and I almost said it again. I caught myself that time. I did a Wildcat study, and one of the reasons I did it was to go into the Taysom Hill factor for the Saints, which I thought this week was amazing what they did with that guy. And I don't know where that's been. I think, has he been hurt? Has Taysom Hill been hurt?
He was hurt early on in camp.
But not during the regular season. He's been active every game, right? So
whatever
they decided to do with him, which I thought was great because what Andy Dalton brings to the team is a sense of calm and a sense of, he keeps the team together.
Yeah.
I think Taysom Hill gives them that extra edge, and he brings something out. So one of the things with the offense, just talking about Andy before I get into all that, because it's a whole different thing. Again, we're back to the Citizens Bank telestrator.
My guy.
All right. There we go. All right.
Right.
So Seattle
Don't
has
try
been
to
known.
stop it.
I'm
That's what you say.
I'm trying.
No,
No,
don't.
we like it.
Yeah,
That's who you are. It would be weird if you didn't say it.
It's basically a resume. That's a
there we go.
as a coach. If you say
I'm telling you,
yeah.
I need a shirt that just says I.
Yeah,
do.
no doubt.
So what we're looking at is Seattle's defense, and what they've been known for years, and Pete Carroll is a cover 3 scheme, and they're not just a cover 3; they're a spot drop cover 3. So these guys are just dropping to spots: the curl flat, hook curl, curl flat. They got the deep third, and again that opens up these big seam areas that are in this area right here. And I thought they did a good job of hitting right where they ain't. Throw the ball where they ain't. And one of the areas is this kind of little curl route right here. And they ran a ton of these yesterday, and I thought Andy and the receivers did a great job. It's a 12-yard gain. That's great. I'll take 12-yard gain every time. But
Sure.
It's not sexy by any means. But at the same time, when you see the safety down here, he's spot dropping, and all you got to do is just there's a lane right in here that he can throw this ball into, and you can see, it's wide open. So I thought they did a good job of that. They hit that about 4 times. On defense, this shift that they did yesterday, that Seattle was doing, they were starting like with 2 backs in the backfield right here, and they were shifting both of these guys up. Now, it was causing the Saints a lot of consternation. So there's my word again. Mm-hmm. So what's happening is when they flip the defense here, they're running a version of cover 1. They're playing man. What they're going to end up doing is they're going to get this tight end running down because they had actually run out of this. They had run out of this formation. So when they do this play action this way, he plays down hard right here, and then he loses the tight end, and that's how they're getting so wide open. And then again, Geno's putting the ball on them. But I thought Seattle had a good plan of – because the Saints are still having man coverage issues. It's not just this. There's one later on where it was a big play to oh, my goodness, I'm losing my mind. No, the big dude, Metcalf.
Oh, yeah, DK.
So there was a play to him where I believe Lattimore just fell down, and it was man coverage. And he just fell down, and that's again they're having issues with that. But you can see these little shifts that they're doing, and all the movements. So that's 55. 55 started over here. He runs all the way over here. Now he's trying to play run and be in man coverage. So there's a ton of things that are going on here pre-snap that one little shift just screwed all up. And I thought that was just some good design. But that's where the Saints are having some issues. I'll go further into that. One of the things I want to look at is the Wildcat. All right? And one of the things that teams do usually now, so these are the Cowboys. So there's 20. That's Pollard. And then here's Zeke. All right, so you got those guys there. One of the things that's happening here, this was game one, so that was still Dak Prescott right there. So some teams are leaving a quarterback on the field. If you leave the quarterback on the field, then you can say, and especially if neither one of these guys are really known as throwers, you have a check and you get into some sort of just run stop in defense. And really in that case, what they're going to end up doing, they're going to run here. Dak's going to run over here and they're going to fake it to him like a reverse pass or something. And maybe it was. But you got so many guys up in the screen here, or up in the front, that there's just nowhere for him to go. One of the things that's happening with the Saints is they're taking the other quarterback off the field and they're putting Taysom Hill just at quarterback, which is what he does, which is fine. You can put him at quarterback all you want, but if you look at the end zone of this play, and how many people are in the shot. You got 8 dudes on defense just standing right in front of you right here. Like there's nobody deep. They're saying they're daring you to throw it with a guy who can't throw. Now the problem when you have Taysom Hill in the game and you don't have you have no other quarterbacks in the game right now.
Chop you up.
Taysom Hill's here. You have to do you play it as a running back? Do you play him as a tight end? Do you play him as just a quarterback?
Yeah.
What do you play him as? So the issue you have here is they have to still play it as if they're playing, they got to play run, but they also got to play the pass too. And I'm just telling you one thing about this guy. He's such a big guy to be able to move the way he moves. And that guy's just trying to get the ball out at that point. But if you look at this from the back and we talk about let's just say this is Andy Dalton right here, or anybody else, Jameis, your quarterback, the guy that you really don't want running the ball. In this case right now, he could drop back and pass. He's in protection. He could be all that, or you could just use every one of these dudes and run a counter play and say, you know what, you're my running back. So you got all your good blockers. Block. That number 6, that's the free safety. Like that guy's unblocked anyway. So now you're forced to play 11 on 11. Usually you have, because the quarterback hands it to somebody, you're 10 on 11. Mm-hmm. You're 11 on 11. Now you're 1-on-1 with him, and that's where this becomes such a threat. Is that now you can get a blocker on everybody but the free safety guy. And because they have to still play pass, they can't just say, I'm going to put everybody up. They still have to play pass. So that's where that becomes such an issue. Now, if you look at this one, again, there goes Kamara out here. You got empty set. If this was Andy Dalton, what are you thinking? Run or pass? Pass. You think pass, right? Well, because this is Taysom Hill, I don't think he's thrown the ball one time in this game yet. I think he's maybe 10 runs on no passes. Right. But at the same time, you still have to play pass because he's a quarterback. And even though they did that, it still worked out in their benefit. Zip. And look at the throw. I mean, that throws as good as anybody's.
Troutman.
And this is why people are probably saying, well, why don't you just play him at quarterback the whole game? Well, then you kind of lose you lose it a little bit. Right now he becomes there's a lot more on his plate. Right now he's got to
throw it 20 times.
You got 10 plays right now on his plate, other than being the backup quarterback. You got 10 true plays on his plate. And if you look here, I mean,
pitch and catch.
This guy's just he's just backpedaling, and he's on a full sprint. Zip, touchdown. So that's one of the things. If you'll pop me off for just a second, this is still going to be the Citizens Bank clicker, but I went back in time. All right, I'm good. I went back in time, and this is I believe this was 2012 from Cincinnati. First play of the game. All right, literally we had a kickoff return there. First play of the game. Mo Sanu is at quarterback. Andy Dalton's down here at the bottom.
Wow.
AJ Green's here, and we got running back and a tight end here, and a tight end here. So there's a safety back in the very back, he's going to walk up. And we knew with this defense, when you got in Wildcat, that this guy was going to walk up and they were going to play like a cover zero hole. This guy was just going to spy the quarterback. So we're sitting here. I remember I was in the box during this game, and like, better come down now. You see this guy waving him down right here. We're just like, oh, we got him. So he comes down, and we knew it was cover zero, and he was just playing. He was playing 100% on the quarterback.
Oh, wow.
We sent Mo Sanu back, AJ Green, bomb over the top.
First play of the game.
First play of the game. And if you watch this from the
D'Angelo Hall.
So right here, it's Max Pro. He was going to, first off, this is one we said, this was not a 3rd and 1. This was one we said, listen, Mo, if it's not there, just throw it away. Throw it away or run. And
look at the drop.
what y'all don't know about Mo Sanu probably is, for a while, I want to say until he got to Atlanta, and I think after he got to Atlanta for a minute, he had a perfect quarterback rating. He was like 8 for 8 with 4 touchdowns, like perfect quarterback rating. And then he finally had an incompletion sometime. And then just staying on one more pro thing, if you'll kick me off again real quick. One more pro thing from last night in the Bengals game. All right, so I'm good here. So again, Citizens Bank clicker, it's not on the screen, but Citizens Bank's your community bank. Go visit them. So this is 4th and 2 on the 2, 4th and goal. All right, they had just run that Philly special thing, and then they got back down to the 2. All right. So what's happening here is they've motioned, I believe Stanley Morgan's his name right here. So you got Tyler Boyd and you got Chase down here, Mixon, and then obviously LSU's Darling. And they're going to motion Joe Mixon out of the backfield. So let me ask you this. Run or pass?
It's got to be pass. Empty, huh?
It's
probably quarterback draw.
You're thinking pass or quarterback draw. There's a lot of dudes in the box, number one. Usually on quarterback draw, you'll take these 2 guys and you'll put them out here, and these guys will be out wider because you want to spread it out. So what's happening here is, this crazy thing is, I remember I looked at my wife last night. I said, "Don't run a shovel pass."
Really?
And the reason I knew that is even before they moved Joe out, if they were going to run a run, they would have left him somewhere in here and had him lead up inside on these guys, not on the edge, because he's not going to be able to cut anybody off from right there. And then when they motioned him out, I actually thought they were going to run it to Tyler Boyd. So right here they could have ran either way. But I said they're running shovel pass. They're running shovel pass, and they ran it. My wife looked at me like I had 5 heads. And
Matt Canada online too.
So if you look at this from the end zone, they actually could have they could have gotten this in when it was all said and done. So what they're doing is they're not blocking this guy. They're reading this guy. If he comes up the field, then he shovels it. All right. If he goes down, they're going to end up throwing the ball out here somewhere. So what they're doing is they're double teaming here back to this guy. The center's blocking back. 65 is coming here and wrapping around. Really, these guys are in man right here. 71 should step down and go up. He doesn't do that. If 71 would have stepped down and gone up and picked those guys off, they might have scored. That and Calais Campbell's just absolutely annihilating the center right now. But that's not a good look on 4th down. So that's a reason that, we talk about why did the Bengals lose to these guys last night. They had all the chances in the world, and even if they would have kicked a field goal right there, who knows? They lost by 2. Yeah. So they had their chances. So
good teams win.
Yeah.
Good teams cover.
But I thought that was an interesting play from last night, because that play is everywhere right now. It's not even just in pro sports. It's in the college game too. So,
right.
I mean, overall, like this weekend was. I know you've already talked about the A&M game, but I'll bring up that last play of the game. I'm sorry. People can defend that play all they want about how the guy pushed up into the end zone and came back to the pylon. The quarterback threw the ball outside of the end zone. If he would have caught that pass, it wouldn't have been a touchdown. Throw the ball in the end zone.
Yeah.
When you have one play to beat the number 1 team that you have no business beating, and you don't even throw the ball in the end zone.
Did you write in former players?
I did. I might have said the same thing. So.
Send an email.
Caskey's Clicker. We lead off each week with a little teaser for you, breaking down the weekend. Then we'll have the extended cut coming to you tomorrow afternoon. Make sure you are subscribed and liking the Caskey's Clicker YouTube page, as we'll be updating that throughout the week.
This weekend? What?
Yeah, we're going to do a little watch party for LSU Florida on Saturday.
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll be over here in the studio. We'll be doing that live here on the Jordy Culotta Show. All right, I appreciate you being here with us on this Monday. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button, as we will be back with you tomorrow morning. Don't forget, Mikey Matuk and Mic'd Up coming to you this afternoon, 6 to 8. Then we will have Chopping It Up with Kador this morning, coming to you from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Make sure you're following all of those shows on their YouTube page, along with Caskey's Clicker, Chopping It Up with Kador, Mic'd Up, all programming that you can find today. Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. We appreciate you being here. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.